but basically looking at the gaps in our services, what distance learners said they would like, and the changes we've made, and where we're looking to go from here. So this was a mixed method study which was examining how students were experiencing the learning support services, and that's the research question there, so just have a quick read. And it covered all of our learners, regardless of their location or mode of study and what have you. If they studied with us before COVID, then there was an opportunity for them to talk about what it was like before COVID, and then afterwards as well. Okay. So the survey came first, and then from there volunteers for an interview, from which 12 were representing of the different sort of variables that you might have for students. 2 of them were distance learners. 1 had already withdrawn after the survey, but they agreed to be interviewed. And when I started, I understood that the 20% of our learners who are distance learners or were during the research period, I thought they were from our own courses directly. Some of the courses are listed there, but then I found out that actually our eCampus NZ students are also in that group. So this made a bit of a difference, and I wanted to find out more. So the lead student advisor there at eCampus NZ explained we acquire our students through their geographic location, and they are in our own course stats, so Toi Ohomai's own course outcomes data. But their support comes from eCampus, who provide pastoral and academic support using these various methods to connect with and support students. They only refer students to us for face-to-face support when other supports aren't working, and yet sometimes students can't actually get to us face-to-face to the ITP that they're referred to for, situational reasons. And in practice, we see very few eCampus students actually. Now, with our completion data, left side on campus, right side distance, you can see that rates are comparable for non-Māori, non-Pacific, but for distance learners who are Māori and Pacific, there's that lower completion rate, which won't, maybe something you've come across before. In terms of withdrawals, you can see that again, distance student withdrawal rates are much higher. And you can see that lockdown 2020, that year made a difference in particular to Māori and Pacific learners, and to a lesser extent to non-Māori, non-Pacific. But again, the distance experience has led to withdrawals more so than the face-to-face. When we look at the withdrawal figures, each EFTS here could be 3 or 4, up to 3 or 4 part-time students. But regardless, we can see that the high withdrawals or high early on in the piece. So, the importance of us, connecting and, making those connections very early with our distance students, especially given those rates. The actual survey and interview questions and topics are sort of here, but I'll just move on to the actual findings. So with distance learners, that one sort of main finding was that they weren't finding their way to academic and pastoral support. They just weren't able to access it. Overall, everyone, preferred face-to-face interaction, including distance learners, but of course they don't have that choice unless they're near a campus, which might actually be possible under the Te Pūkenga scenario. And also students are a lot more willing to use online services since the lockdowns, and generally they appreciate, you know, that it can be convenient, it saves time and money and so on. But overall, we needed more ways to connect, and also students were looking for ways to connect with us and have their say. So this was participant 8 who had withdrawn after the survey. So what I'll do here is I'll just drag us out of the way, and if you could have a read of, I hope I'm not blocking the screen there. There we go. Can you see all of that? There we go. So just scanning through our interviewees' comments, basically they did get passed along, and it just didn't work out for them. So we hope that we have now got those pathways established, and of course the stress levels were very high. Participant 9 was in a state of distress, but their situation was a bit different to participant 8. They had received a fees scholarship, and if they failed again, so they'd already failed once, and then if they failed again, they would have to pay back the scholarship. So they felt obliged to continue, but felt extremely distressed and pressured, and couldn't find their way to the support. As you can see in the middle here, they were actually could have done with some pastoral as well as some academic. Participant 9 had previously been with a PTE and really loved the monthly phone calls. So just a couple of, you know, how are you going? Is there anything you need? And they had expected that they would have the same service with us. They were disappointed when, you know, it wasn't the case. They also had an LMS canvas where they could just casually, in a sort of a chat function, from what I understand, message their tutor. So that they really liked that. And participant 8 just wanted the pathways to be clear. In the open-ended survey responses, very similar. If you just see what people have said, basically they didn't seem to be finding their ways to support either. So, what have we actually done? Well, we've developed a dedicated tile on the hub. Sitting underneath that is a self-selecting or a self-booking automated system for academic support at this stage, and a virtual drop-in, and we've also recorded our live online orientations so that some of our students who missed the live one, or they're in an asynchronous situation of study, they can go back and have a look and find out about the services. We also can, for our pastoral support, traditionally it's been face-to-face, but it became remote support during lockdown, and the team are actually looking at ways they can offer a dedicated online space similar to what the learning facilitators have now, and they probably have a booking system as well. And our virtual drop-in, which is staffed by a rostered learning facilitator, could be a place where students come in for pastoral inquiries and then can be referred to an available engagement facilitator for personal support. So the data, achievement data came from our Business Insights page. But I thought if you're interested, I'll give you a quick look at this is our landing page. This is the student services tile on the hub. The top link is where people reach through to our booking form, which Taylor Delamere, who's the lead of our engagement team, he's developed this. So if the student goes in and chooses, they have this agency, which was a strong theme in the research, you know, that they would like.
Ruth,
Yes?
sorry to interrupt. I think we can just see the one screen. The link is.
Oh, okay. So
drag the other screen onto this one.
Okay, I've just got the one screen. I'll share again and go to where are we? Here it is. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah. So this is the booking form that. So back from the hub. So oops. So tile. The booking location, we did take the word engagement and put personal in there instead, because people don't always know what engagement is, we found. So that was the booking form, which Taylor has developed with a bit of wizardry and so on. Book, so the student has control. They can choose like whatever the time is and that they want. And then they can even choose their person, and the learning facilitator gets an actual like Marcus. So I want Marcus, he's not available then, so I might look on another day. So that's just an example. And the staff receive that. So let's go back to the hub. The virtual drop-in is, it's running from 9 till 3. So students are getting used to going in there. I won't go in, but nobody's there right now. I wonder where everyone is. Okay, whoops. And then as well, when you go in here, engagement facilitators, at this stage, if I go engagement support, so personal support, it still looks like you have to be on a campus. So this is what Taylor and I have just spoken about recently, and Marcus and I have had conversation as well, you know, making sure that distance students can see for that holistic support that there is a way for them to get personal support as well. So I am just going to go back to the PowerPoint, and maybe I have to reshare at this point. Hang on. Oh, most lovely. Stop share. Okay, share again. Here we go. Oh, that one. Okay. So that gives us a bit of time now for some sorry, I'm trying to. Okay, sorry. Try again. It gives us time for questions and discussion, and I have got one little question of my own, so I'll just ask that.
So you've got a question on the chat already, actually, Ruth.
Right. Okay.
This is from Susan, and it says, your responses to the distance student barrier to support is very good. So what do you think was behind participant 9's perception that they could not use support offered to other students? So what do you think was at the back of participants 9 view of that?
At the time, they couldn't find their way to the support because there was no obvious pathway to to access the support. So what we're doing now is promoting it more. Have I understood correctly?
Maybe I can help a little bit with that, Ruth.
Yes.
I think the timing involved with that, with your research, was at a stage when we were just developing the support for online students. Prior to that time, we were focused on students on campus, with a very few exceptions to that. With some of the eCampus students, we were also providing sort of secondary service to the service that they already have. So all of the facilities that Ruth's talking about are very relatively new, and date to a point in time after the survey was done, or the research was done by Ruth.
So that is what I had in mind. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Susan here. Thank you. I'm just wondering if the tutors were lacking information, or why people were passed around. But yeah, okay.
No, that's a good question too. And a lot of those allusions or the comments from the participants is an area which overlaps onto tutor support as well. So you have to sort of not take all those comments as directed specifically at learning advisors, but it's also about the support in general.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your journey. I'm sure we've all had this distance study journey going on too.
Actually, now I see what you were actually saying, Susan, and that the tutor had told the student to ring the information centre. I think that's the first place, and then the information centre told them to ring somebody else, and then they rang somebody else, and then they, so that it was just a sort of like, by the time the chain was. Yes, but anyway, as Marcus said, we certainly feel like we've really started to address that gap, and help tutors also to, like Marcus and Taylor do online orientations, and we do these online workshops. I have
all of those software packages, the hub tiles and all the websites, they've only been developed in the last since COVID, basically.
Is anybody here from Open Poly? I think so, from Open Polytechnic or eCampus NZ?
Yes, there's a few of us here from Open Polytech. Did you have a question for us?
Well, I was just thinking, I didn't understand the interface between us and eCampus NZ, and yet the students belong to Toi Ohomai, but it's quite interesting, that we don't actually see them as a role. So, yeah, but they will be moving off to you more at the Open Polytechnic now, it sounds like.
Work is in place, sort of getting those courses integrated into the Open Polytech learning delivery platform. Yeah. I haven't sort of been party to a lot of conversation about how that's going to work, or how that will be. Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have other questions?
Just a couple of comments, Ruth. Yep. It's Angela here from NMIT. Ruth, we had the same experience with NMIT registered students who were studying through eCampus and having very little to do with them until support wasn't working for them online, in which case then the eCampus learning advisors were really great at making sure the students, that we contacted them, and that worked quite well as a secondary option for the students. I have put something into the chat to wonder if you could share a link to your slides. The reason I ask is that we're trying to do exactly the same thing down here at NMIT, but we're focusing on the online learners. And survey interview, we're in the very early stages of data collection, but it would be really useful to look at your data as well and see what you got. So perhaps we can compare next year.
I'll see if I can share. I have to do anyone with the link can edit or something like that. or could I email it to you afterwards?
That would be wonderful.
Angela?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be great.
Can you put your email in the chat and I'll grab it? Oh, thank you. And anybody else, if it's of interest, that is. We seem to be almost on time. Is that right, Mervyn?
We're actually ahead of time, so that's yes, it's 10 to 11. Yeah. So you can chat for a little bit longer. This is really good. And, yeah.
Well, look, one thing that Angela made me think of is that I spoke to Brenda Shanks, who's the lead of the student advisors at eCampus NZ, and she said that the ones that the students that they refer, sometimes they can't actually get to a campus for, simple logistics of cost or transport or family situations. So, they might be referred, but they might never make it to us.
You've got your virtual hand up.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
Have you unmuted me?
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks very much, Ruth. It's Kristen here from Otago Polytech. Similar journey. And we're interested in how you promote the services. What are the different channels that you get the word out to students? And also just to hear any more about your virtual drop-in.
Right. Well, Marcus, feel free to chip in. So
I'm here too, Ruth.
Oh, Ashton. Oh, my colleague Ashton from Makoia campus, as well as Marcus is from Windermere or Poike campus. Well, it's a Google Meet, so it's a permanent room, if you like, which makes it easier for us to we're rostered on. So when we're in the physical space drop-in, then we also have the virtual drop-in running at the same time. So you can pull your headset out and just listen for it gives a little ping when somebody drops in or when you're about to be put out of the call. So that's before we look at promotion. Ashton and Marcus, do you want to say anything?
Promotion is actually the hardest thing because we put it out on Facebook and we tell students about it in letters, and we of course the hub or that thing that had all the colourful tiles on it that you saw is our main student interface. And it did take quite a bit of effort and quite a lot of time for us to actually get space on there, not considered to be important enough. But after fighting those wars, we eventually got space there. And but it is an ongoing mission to try and get the word out to students. And no matter how hard we try, we still come across students who don't know about it. And even though our student satisfaction surveys indicate that close to 100% of students know about our services, still we find some that haven't been able to engage with it effectively. So it is a very good question. How do we make that connection more secure, and how do we get that word out to all the students? And that is something we continue to work on. The interface that Ruth talked to you about, our bookings, has helped a lot. That's made our connection with them on a one-to-one basis much more effective. And I will say that the online drop-ins, we'd like them to be a lot more popular than they are at the moment, because once again, not everybody seems to be able to know about them. But it's slowly developing usage, but when we developed that platform in the first instance, the idea was that we could emulate all of the services which are available on campus face-to-face. So since that was one thing that we offered on campus, we decided to do it online as well.
And I'd probably add, when you have a good relationship with the tutors, they refer all the time. And so 50% of my work last year was online appointments or online engagement. And I think a lot of that comes about because the tutor tells the student, right, you need to connect. And so, or, gives them the information.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ruth, and that's what my presentation is about later on tomorrow. I think is about making the connection with the tutors solid so that they are actively referring students to us.
Is there anything desperate before we make room for the next? Is there another presenter at 11?
There is, yes, but
rightio.
You have 4 minutes to keep going.
I have a question for everybody that's attending. We talked about the personal support or engagement facilitators, as we call them at Toi Ohomai, and some of the differences between their approach and our approach, trying to get them to be presented to the students as one body rather than as two separate services. And I just wanted to know if any of you had any input about that and how that can affect the quality of support, relating back to what Ruth has been talking about with her research about our student satisfaction with our support. Any thoughts?
People, what I'll do is I'll send out the slides. So I've pasted all the information out of the chat. So if you think of anything to answer Marcus's query, then we can keep in touch. And I think the Padlet is a way as well that we could possibly keep in touch too. Maybe I can put the slides there.
Absolutely, and
Thank you, Catherine.
That's a fantastic conversation for us to have in our coffee lounge during the breaks. So, Marcus, if you are able to bring that up. Now, did you pop your query into the chat window? Because I could grab it and pop it into a chat in Ruma in the coffee lounge.
Yep. I didn't, but I can now.
Okay.
Awesome.
And don't forget, folks, at 12 there's a special interest group as well for this topic. So
awesome.
I hope everybody's going to come to that as well.
So let's grab I'll grab your question, Marcus, and we'll make it available in those spaces.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, well, thanks, Ruth. That is fantastic. It's lovely that you managed to, put together some really, really solid research on this, because it's a major topic for everybody, particularly us, I think. So, thank you very, very much. It's really, really good.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely to have you with us, and let's keep chatting. Okay.
Yeah,
thank
you. Definitely.
Okay.